Hello, my name's Ben,
And my name's Josh.
and welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another video where we're going to be going through our teams for Game Week 30. Let's not waste any time here and get straight into it.
So, going into my team, last week I played the bench boost, took a -8. I think we scored 132 after the hit. So, it went quite well. A small rank rise from 5k to 3.5k in the world. So, we've just hit over 2,000 points, which is really satisfying. So, going into this week, it's all about consolidation and just trying to build on that. We've got the free hit coming up in Game Week 32, which I plan on playing as well. So, it's just sort of maneuvering my team around these single game weeks. And most importantly, what I do up front. So in goal, I'm going with Kepa. A little bit worried about him, to be fair. Obviously, Frank Lampard's coming to charge, and Frank Lampard's the keeper who bought Mendy to replace Kepa. So I don't know the fitness status of Mendy. So I'd imagine Kepa would probably start, but it's something to be wary of just in case, maybe Lampard brings Mendy back into the fold. I'm not too sure, but it's something to keep an eye on. In defence, I've gone with obviously Trippier. Everyone should be having Trippier in the defence. Newcastle playing really well at the moment. Tyrone Mings, Nottingham Forest at home. Nottingham Forest, not as good away from home compared to their home form. So I'm expecting a clean sheet there. Chilwell as well to round it off. Wolves away. If they concede there, I'll be really disappointed. I'm really expecting that double Chelsea clean sheet to come through. And Chilwell potentially even to get amongst the attack and returns. Moving on into midfield, we've got James Maddison, Bournemouth at home. I was so disappointed with him in the double game week. Suter could have scored a header from a corner to get him an assist, but in general, I think he should be doing better. And if he doesn't return against Bournemouth, I think that'll probably be the end of his stay in my FPL team. Rashford at home to Everton at the lunchtime kickoff. He probably won't be my captain. He's just still the captain from last week. So don't worry too much about that. We don't back the early kickoff around here. Matoma, Tottenham away. I saw a stat today, actually, that Brighton have scored more than 2 goals in their last 6 out of 7 away games. So, looking quite good. Tottenham looking quite bad. It looks good for Matoma. Bruno Fernandes as well. Everton at home. United play really well at home. Under Dyche, Everton are conceding more than 2 XG away from home. So it could be a bit of a goal fest if United find their shooting boots, but they haven't been able to find them in recent weeks. Moving up top, we've got Isaac, Brentford away. Obviously, a bit of a minute's risk. Callum Wilson came in against West Ham, scored twice, but then Isaac scored off the bench as well. So Eddie Howe's got a great problem to have up top right now. Ivan Toney could make way. Well, he probably will make way this week. Newcastle at home, but he is that 1 yellow off suspension. And then Harry Kane as well, Brighton at home. I expect him to probably still get on amongst the goals, as he always seems to do. On the bench, we've got Raya, McAllister, Estupinan, and Henry. Not playing McAllister just because he dropped quite deep against Bournemouth. So I think I'd rather start Matoma ahead of him. And obviously, the other guys have quite tough fixtures. What's your thoughts on the team as it is, Ben?
Okay, so my thoughts on Josh's team is very, very decent. Obviously, the rank speaks for itself. Josh, flexing all of his rank for all of us at the start there. And why wouldn't you? But yeah, it's a very strong team going into Game Week 30. Obviously, it's a reliance on the Chelsea double up in defence, possibly going up against the Newcastle double up in defence for a lot of FPL managers there. It's interesting that you picked Matoma over McAllister. Obviously, Matoma, his underlying numbers may not be quite as good as McAllister's, but he's producing the returns week in, week out on a very consistent basis. So I do see why you're picking him. Obviously, with Leicester's pre-match press conference, there's no sort of indication that Maddison was injured, so there's no reason to assume why he wouldn't play. And he's not looked too good in recent weeks, but we all know what Maddison can do. It's just a case of maybe looking, and it's crazy to say, Bruno Fernandes is one that, you would be unsure on getting an attacking return this week just because of how deep he played in the last game week. Obviously, there's potentially, a couple of fires to put out in Toney and Fernandes. But other than that, overall, it's looking very strong and very well set up to, hit on the free hit in Game Week 32.
Yeah, it's looking good. With Fernandez, I'm hoping that Christian Eriksen comes back and almost plays that 6 role like he has been doing earlier in the season. He's been back in training, so whether he gets a start or not, we'll wait and see. But we saw against Brentford that Fernandez was put into that 6, and he was the guy picking the ball up from defence to attack, because United are without the likes of Casemiro and Eriksen, who do that job so well. But in terms of transfers this week, as I alluded to, Ivan Toney's probably the guy who's going to go. I've got them enough money to go straight from Ivan Toney to Erling Haaland. But Ollie Watkins exists, and he's causing me a massive issue at the moment. So he's about roughly 60 to 70% owned at my rank. So almost everybody has him, and obviously he's scoring goals for fun. So I feel like he is also a must-have at the moment. So a potential hit could be on the cards. I don't know if I want to take out Kane. I could do a straight -4, Kane and Toney to Watkins and Haaland. But I don't know. So that could happen. I could take a -8, but I feel that that's way too luxurious in a single game week. So it's up in the air, but stay tuned to our socials and I'll let you guys know what my transfer plans are.
Okay, so let's go into my team for this game week, and we're going to kick it right off with the big highlight of the defence. It's the double Newcastle defence in there, Botman and Trippier. Obviously, they looked pretty decent in the double game week. Obviously, they defended really well at home to Manchester United and conceded just from one set piece against West Ham United. It was a mistake in the Newcastle defence. And if I'm being honest, I don't see them making too many more mistakes till the end of the season, really. And I do back them as a very good defensive side. So that's why I've doubled up with them. I've doubled up with them since I wildcarded, and I've got to back them to do well this week. Kepa, obviously, in the goal, just touched on Kepa and the Mendy situation. For at least the next couple of game weeks, I think that Kepa is a safe pick. I don't think Frank Lampard's going to take too many risks and change too much up. At the moment, we've got Luke Shaw in defence. Now, for me, he's probably going to end up staying in the team. It's dependent very much on how severe the injury is. If it's an injury that's going to last and impacts me over 3 or 4 game weeks, then it's likely that I may take a -4 to bring him out. This game week's not going to be the most ideal game week to do that, because obviously the points prediction and the amount of points I think that's going to be for everyone this week, I think it's going to be a low scoring game week overall. So in terms of -4 hits, I would not recommend at all taking those hits this week, just because there's a lot of tough fixtures for a lot of very good teams. So I don't think there's going to be too many sort of benefits to take from that. Maddison retains his place in the team. Obviously, I'm not too happy with how he's performed over the recent weeks. His underlying stats before I brought him in was great. Since then, not been too good. Saka could be a good player to own this week. Obviously, Liverpool not looking too good at all from a defensive standpoint. And I do think that despite taking out our 2 Arsenal players last week, I'm kind of already thinking of bringing back another Arsenal player this week. I just think the fixtures, although they're not brilliant, I think there's return potential in them. Obviously, at the moment, Rashford's captained. Could potentially change to a certain Erling Haaland, depending on the transfers that I make. McAllister. So despite Josh benching him, I am starting him in my team. I just think the underlying stats are too good. He's on a lot of set pieces and is on all penalties taken for Brighton. And if I'm being honest, I think, Spurs have a tendency to be quite fragile down the middle. And in fact, sort of on the wings as well, probably, from everywhere. McAllister could be in for a good game. Let's see what the press conferences say as well, because he didn't play the full 90 against Bournemouth in double game week. Up front at the moment, we've got João Felix, Kane and Toney. I'm not really happy at all with the front three. I brought Felix in for a hit last week. Don't know how Chelsea didn't score in the double game week, but, it's one of them mistakes, and we move on from that. It'll be an assessment of, whether I think it's worth bringing someone else in for Felix. It's likely that I'm going to bring in Haaland for Ivan Toney this week. And then on the bench, let's bring that up for you. At the moment, we've got Raya, Solly March, Rico Henry, and Estepinian. That's how the team's looking this week at the moment. In terms of transfers, it's probably looking like Felix or Toney out for Erling Haaland as just the one move. If Shaw's going to be injured for 1 to 2 weeks, he'll be benched. If it's longer than that, it's likely a -4 to bring in someone like Ben Chilwell this week. So that's the team. Josh, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're set up pretty well. Like you said, there's a couple of players in there that are now going to be quite nice differentials. I think Bukayo Saka is one of them. I know obviously the benching last week was really unfortunate. He was a player that I was, quite worried about last week. I sold him as part of my hit, and obviously got benched against Leeds, which was music to my ears. Probably not music to your ears, but he's going to be a really good option going forward. And someone that I can't really get to unless I want to take out, Bruno Fernandes and Maddison. So he could be really good. I quite like the McAllister pick, like you said. He has got penalties. Spurs defensively are quite poor. Obviously, they conceded to Everton on Monday. Felix, I'd give him the benefit of a doubt for one more week. Wolves away is quite a nice fixture, so I feel like it's not worth necessarily taking a hit to take him out. And, Fat Frank might come out and make them score 4 goals. Who knows what will happen? So, I think for me, Felix would stay another week and just, try and get Haaland in.
Yeah, it's the obvious move is Ivan Toney to Haaland. It's frustrating with the. I think the João Felix one's the most frustrating one, because last week I was basically tossing it up between Felix, Kai Havertz, and Ollie Watkins. Going to be honest about the Kai Havertz one. I was thinking about bringing him in. He's unlucky not to return as well. He had a goal disallowed in last game week. Watkins, if I'm being honest, he was on the sort of side of I wasn't really going to bring him in anyway, just because he was quite high ownership, and my rank isn't great at the moment. So I was going to sort of go a little bit differential. Wolves away, it's not a bad fixture. It's just that Frank Lampard effect. Obviously, we know he could potentially mix things up a bit. Chelsea have so much attacking talent, so it's a little bit of a risk to bring him into the starting 11. But by all means, it could very well be Solly March into the starting 11 before the deadline. Okay, so that rounds up our Game Week 30 team reveals for this week. Let us know what you think of our teams. Is there players that you're thinking, hang on, the FPL graduates are missing these guys out? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, and by all means, get your team selection dilemmas in the comments as well. We'll try and reply to as many comments as we can before the deadline, as this will probably go out Saturday morning. You're watching this.
Yeah, and as always, please remember to like, follow, and subscribe. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.